One of the great things about Fallout is the ability to play through the games in a variety of ways. Maybe one playthrough you use explosives and missile launchers, maybe in another you stick to melee weapons, maybe in another you only use your bare hands. Some people, perhaps most notably many a true nerd, have imposed certain challenges in their playthroughs of Fallout New Vegas. For example, not killing anyone. New Vegas, with its borderline overpowered speech skill, makes it somewhat easy to beat the game without killing anyone. But what about not attacking anyone at all? Let's clarify a few things before going any further. I cannot hurt any character, NPC, or enemy in the entire game. Hurting myself is okay. If I were to drop a grenade and someone got hurt, I'd have to reload an old save, which is a real pain in the ass on Xbox 360. Because weapon skills are irrelevant, the skill to focus on from the get-go is speech. You might think that we'd be dumping every special point available into charisma, but charisma isn't important, it's just speech. And we'll need intelligence to get the most skill points available when leveling up. Strength, perception, and agility aren't all that important. We'll also require high endurance to ensure that we stand a chance out in the wasteland. The remaining points go into luck. Fresh out of Doc Mitchell's house, and our first stop is Goodsprings General Store to sell what we stole from Doc Mitchell and get as many healing items as possible. Now we begin the long march to New Vegas. The quickest way is also the most dangerous. The Cazadors were not unexpected, and with some panicked jumps against a rock, we get by without too much of an issue. And Deathclaws. This is where the first obstacle comes. There's two of them, because of course there are. I got lucky and was able to hide inside a little hut atop Vault 19, until I sort of taunted one of the Deathclaws and it got me. I pussied out and just waited in the vault for a while, then ran like a madman to get the hell out of there. And then, as I continued running, I passed by some powder gangers. The Deathclaw was still behind me, so I put their lives on the line by luring the Deathclaw into them. They handled it much better than I thought they would, but at least I got a sweet Deathclaw egg out of it. I continued making my way to the strip. Some fiends started turning me into Swiss cheese. Good thing there were some NCR soldiers nearby that I could use as human shields. The fiends were killed alongside a few NCR soldiers. I looted their corpses and continued on my way. I sold what I could to the gunrunners and made my way inside Freeside and began looking for work. No matter what, I needed caps to get into the strip. The Atomic Wrangler and Silver Rush were my first stops, then the Kings. After failing the Birds of a Feather quest for some reason, I reloaded a save, sold what I picked up on my travels, and got inside the strip. The easiest way to do this is to quickly loot the body of the gambler who turns hostile when you're guarding the Silver Rush, and then looting the corpses of the destroyed caravan just outside of Freeside. Between the two locations, you can get a few weapons, 2 suits of combat armor, and a C4 explosive, which can be sold for quite a few caps. Once inside the strip, I had a chat with Mr. House, convinced Swank to give me a key to Benny's room, spoke to Yes Man, and finally confronted Benny. I couldn't kill him, but I needed the chip. After making him think that I took his side, he sent some goons to rough me up. I managed to lose them by sprinting towards the elevator while screaming like a schoolgirl. Next step, Cottonwood Cove and the fort. A few geckos and a boat ride later, I'm face to face with Caesar. I inform Benny that I plan to have him crucified, and I get the platinum chip from Caesar to destroy whatever lies within the bunker beneath our feet. The robots inside were not at all happy to see me. Nevertheless, I installed the upgrades for Mr. House and returned to the strip to get Mr. House out of the picture. I didn't kill him, I just ensured that the earth germs would get him. For some reason, the Securitrons didn't attack me after I came back up from Mr. House's lair. Anyway, Yes Man was successfully installed, and I began the process of meeting the various factions that I couldn't possibly give any less of a fuck about. This is why you want to go with Yes Man. You don't have to do any quests, just introduce yourself to the Omertas, White Glove Society, Great Khans, Boomers, and Brotherhood of Steel, and you can be on your way. You do have to do a small quest for the Brotherhood, but if you've been dumping your skill points into speech like I did, it won't be an issue. I chose to ignore President Kimball's speech at Hoover Dam and let the winds of fate deal with him. The next problem was rerouting some power. The NCR told me not to enter the El Dorado gas station, but I did it anyway. The preparations are all prepared. Next stop, war. This was a little tougher than I anticipated, even though I was playing on easy. I would have played on normal, but honest to God, I didn't think to check until I was 80% finished with the game. The Legion put up a hell of a fight. There were all sorts of Centurions and veteran Legionaries making things difficult. Then I forgot where I was going and had to do a bit of backtracking. Once inside Hoover Dam proper, I stood before two heavily armored NCR soldiers in power armor, pondering my next move. I figured the best option was to open the door, chug an atomic cocktail, and run like hell. With the Securitrons now arriving at the dam to support me, the push towards the Legate's camp was almost a cakewalk. Call it a cupcake walk. I then pumped myself full of whatever useful drugs I had and confronted the Legate himself. With speech at 100, words triumphed over the sword, until General Lee Oliver was rude to me, and I had my Securitrons blast him to Kingdom Come while I hid behind a wooden cart. And with that, Fallout New Vegas has been beaten without attacking anyone or anything. I'll be uploading the full playthrough somewhere, either on this channel or my second channel. Check the comments for a link to that if you're interested in seeing it. All things considered, it wasn't that hard of a playthrough. Certainly less fun than being allowed to murder indiscriminately, but still, not bad. If you were to pump up the difficulty to very hard and play on survival, it would require significantly more planning and forethought to complete the run. Something I've wanted to do for a long time was play through a Fallout game as a super mutant. That ungodly strength and hatred towards humanity could offer so many new ways to complete quests and make decisions. Unfortunately, my dreams are still just dreams. However, through the use of console commands, we can almost get there. The question is, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as a giant? Get out of bed, set .player scale 2, and we're off to the races. And then... what? Children cannot use that. Does this look like a child to you? I scaled myself back down, set my special stats to something that seemed appropriate for a 10-foot tall man, and took a seat on Doc Mitchell's couch. Well, I tried to. I couldn't actually reach the damn thing. Scaled down just a bit, answered some questions, and introduced the Mojave Wasteland to its new hero. Sunny Smiles left some bottles on the fence, so I knocked them down for her. Then we went to kill some geckos. Turns out that increasing your size also makes you move pretty damn fast. Heading towards the strip, I damn near took the heads off some powder gangers with my fists. I also punched a puppy to death. Feeling rather tough, I thought my mountain of a man could take on a Deathclaw. He could not. Also, as luck would have it, I'm fairly susceptible to bullet damage. This is where I realized the first big issue with my size. After I ran inside a house, some powder gangers followed me inside. I was crouched to not put my head and chest through the ceiling. Despite that, my bullets were ineffective against them. Most likely some sort of clipping issue. Thanks to Project Nevada, I was able to open the door and sprint off into the darkness, with a wee bit of health left. Then I found myself in the midst of a firefight between NCR and Fiends, in complete darkness. Another fun problem is that to loot a corpse, you have to crouch, and let me tell you, that got real old real fast. I waited till morning, blew the head off an NCR soldier, and took his clothes. A lot of this run was relatively normal, so I won't waste your time by going over every little detail. I fought more Fiends, stopped for a photo op with an NCR soldier, got inside the strip, stopped for a photo with Victor, looked down on Benny, literally, as he tried to weasel his way out of me ripping his spine out through his mouth, punched some gangsters in the head, took a photo with their bodies, met Yes Man, bought a neat new gun, found a lucky 38 key card because me no good at computer. Got into a lengthy firefight with the Securitrons protecting Mr. House, in which I slowed down time, blasted them with a grenade launcher, a lot, and dropped some grenades at Victor's feet, or wheel. I also got this fucking cool slow-mo shot of me murdering Mr. House. Next, I introduced myself to the various factions as required by Yes Man. I met the White Glove Society, the Omertas at Gamora, got another sweet action shot after I sliced up some Fiends, used a golf club to violently boop the snoot of some nearby dogs, then blew up their friends. I tried to exterminate the cons, only to rediscover that fun little issue where my gigantic frame prevents me from hurting anyone inside certain buildings. It was at that point I decided that I wasn't leaving until somebody died, even if it was me. Again, I learned me a good lesson about how mean Deathclaws are. I had a hell of a time trying to talk to Elder McNamara, short little bastard. I found myself a cool new hat that this dead guy wasn't using anymore, and took a postcard-worthy picture. Not long after donning my new hat, I discovered another annoying flaw with being giant. The bigger you are, the faster you move, but fall damage remains the same. You can run off a cliff so fast that you go far enough that you'll die from the fall. Because I did. A reloaded save and another photo op later, I'm off to the fort. First I played around with the idea of being Jesus, then the fort. Now is a good time to explain why I went with the size I did. Aside from that pesky indoor gunfire problem, there's also the problem of being so big that the height you fall from after jumping damages you. As seen in this rare archival footage, I'm as big as the game will allow me to be. So big, in fact, that the act of jumping in place is slowly pushing me towards death. Anyway, I met Caesar, installed the upgrade for Yes Man, met the boomers, killed a few of them, made a dog's dinner out of the NCR at the El Dorado gas station, and finally the second battle of Hoover Dam is upon us. With my melee weapon skill almost maxed out, strength at 10, and a super sledge, everyone in my path was promptly massacred. Even the NCR power armor troops were a joke. As for the legate, well, let's just say my first attempt didn't exactly go as planned. The second time around, I pumped myself full of drugs and ended things rather quickly before they got out of hand. A perk I took allowed me to revive a fallen foe as a friend at the cost of a super stim pack. I revived the legate, and once again, things didn't go as planned. I killed him again. I also ate him. General Lee Oliver arrived, and I couldn't have possibly gotten a better shot of it. The Securitrons killed him, I knocked out the narrator, and at last, the run is over. To answer the titular question, yes, you can beat Fallout New Vegas as a giant. Aside from a few bugs related to the increased size of the player character, it's really not all that different from a normal playthrough of New Vegas. The higher vantage point and everything that comes with that are interesting, but the novelty wears off eventually. If you're looking for a fun new way to do a relatively quick playthrough of New Vegas, I would recommend trying a giant playthrough. But if you want to take your time with the game, you're better off sticking to normal size. Now, I guess, the only remaining question is, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as an ant? Fallout New Vegas is an amazing game. Not only can you move forward and side to side, but you can also move backwards. The movement possibilities are endless. Let's say you only want to move a certain way though. Could you beat Fallout New Vegas by only moving backwards? I'll make this quick. Yes, obviously you can beat Fallout New Vegas by only moving backwards. Only moving one way isn't going to break the game or make weird things happen like changing your size would. The real question is, how hard is it? Just for the sake of changing things up, I decided to play as a woman this time around, but as usual, I drained my charisma stat and dumped those points into intelligence. I also prioritized speech, just to make a few situations easier. After that, it was time to pay a visit to my favorite giant poisonous tarantula hawks. It was around this time the run started becoming really annoying. You realize how important that forward movement is when you're in combat. Sure, you can strafe right and left, and of course move backwards. But if you want to get closer to an enemy, you have to turn around and leave yourself wide open to attacks. And when you're taking on multiple cazadors, that isn't good. My strategy was to plant my feet and not move. If they got too close, I'd pull out my grenade launcher, blow us both up, and hope that I lived. It worked out okay in the end. Next, because I was in the neighborhood, I stopped by Red Rock Canyon, so I wouldn't have to trudge back out there later. From there, I made my way to a fiend camp, killed Violetta and her dogs, ransacked her trailer park, killed even more fiends using my patented blow us both to hell method. Then I killed 2 NCR soldiers, took their clothes, and began the long, so incredibly long, backwards walk towards Camp McCarran. Did I mention how long it took? It took a long time. The upside was that the monorail put me within striking distance of Benny. I didn't feel like doing the usual song and dance inside the Tops Casino. This time, I just massacred everyone inside the casino. My decent armor, hunting rifle, and assortment of chems made it easier than it would have been without them. Still though, it was a bit of a challenge. primarily because I used all of my grenades and mostly just stood there in one spot while they all attacked me. Nevertheless, I won the day, looted their corpses, got the platinum chip, started Yes Man's questline, killed the remaining gamblers on my way out, spoke to Mr. House, watched his stupid demonstration for the upteenth time, then ignored the Securitrons who were so rudely shooting at me while I entered Mr. House's private chambers. Then he died. Gamora and the White Glove Society were the next casinos to feel my wrath. Oh, and feel it they did. The White Mittens got the worst of it. I killed a lot of people. Then I returned to the Great Khan's hideout and wiped out their leaders. The Brotherhood of Steel tried to be my friends, but I got a little carried away and murdered the welcome wagon. The good news is that a Gauss rifle was now in my possession. I paid a visit to my old buddy Doc Mitchell and bought all the stim packs he had that I could afford, because before I killed Papa Khan, I moseyed my way up to the boomers. They blasted the shit out of me. Everyone knows that you don't shoot rockets at a girl in her underwear that's limping backwards towards your base. That's just wrong. I made them pay for their misdeeds by killing their leaders too. Afterwards, I returned to the Great Khans because apparently I had still not made contact with them. None of them survived this time. This time around, I completely avoided the Legion until the end of the game. I didn't bother going to the fort to install any upgrades. I did have a lot of fun murdering the NCR soldiers stationed at the El Dorado gas station. They died real good. Once again, the final battle has arrived. A riot shotgun I picked up off some dead guy really came in handy. But let me tell you, making your way through Hoover Dam offices while going backwards is a real pain in the ass. I took that pain in stride and destroyed the dam's generators. All that was left was to wipe out the Legion, which was tougher than I thought for some reason. The road to the Legate's camp was fine, so were the first few stragglers inside the camp itself. The Legate was a challenge. Even with a Gauss rifle and a riot shotgun and pumping myself full of Psycho, Med-X, and an assortment of other chems, it wasn't an easy fight. When the screaming stopped and the bodies lay motionless, I had less than 5% of my health left, and no healing items. I looted a few of the corpses and prepared for the showdown with Lee Oliver. Because I was doing things differently this time, I decided to have him thrown off Hoover Dam. His screams were so delightful. Here we are, yet again. Another pointless Fallout playthrough has been completed. All things being equal, playing New Vegas while only moving backwards wasn't all that bad. I imposed a rule that if I accidentally moved forward at all, I reloaded my most recent save file. That annoyed me a few times. The Tribal Pack DLC weapons and armor helped me out quite a bit in the early game, especially with the Cazadors. Overall, I'd put this below the giant playthrough of New Vegas, but above the no attacking anything run. Fallout 3's baby playthrough is at the bottom just because of how slow it was. Would I recommend you play through New Vegas this way? No, probably not. There are other ways to make the game challenging without being so infuriating about it. You can choose to not use guns. You can avoid stim packs and healing items. You can get by without killing almost anyone. What you can't do is leave Doc Mitchell's house without a Pipboy. But let's say, hypothetically, that you could get rid of the Pipboy. Would you be able to beat Fallout New Vegas without a Pipboy? First things first, we gotta talk stats. We'll get to the hows a bit later. Without a Pip-Boy, we can't equip any weapons or use any items whatsoever. So we'll be relying solely on our fists to do damage, which means strength at 10 is a must. High endurance and intelligence are also essential. Regarding skills, all we really need is unarmed and survival. These will help us do more damage to enemies and take more damage from them. Speech, as usual, will also come in handy. Now how the hell do you even remove the Pip-Boy? Well, you can't. Not through any normal means. However, once again, console commands save the day. All we need is the base ID for the Pip-Boy, and we can permanently remove it. Enter player.unequip item 00015038 into the console window, hit enter, and voila! The Pip-Boy is gone. I tested this before and I saw it on the ground, but I couldn't find it this time. Oh well. Attempting to use the Pip-Boy will cause the courier to take a nice long look at his forearm. So, we don't have a Pip-Boy. What do we do now? Well, there are a few options. Normally, I would head straight for Red Rock Canyon by passing through Cazador Alley so that I will be able to fast travel there later on. But without a Pipboy, we can't fast travel anywhere, and trying to take out enough Great Khans at level 1 to preemptively complete that portion of Yes Man's questline would be a challenge. Instead, I took the road out of Good Springs, through Deathclaw territory, and to the Strip. Things didn't exactly go as planned. My game froze shortly after killing some powder gangers, which set me back a bit. I decided it would be a good idea to stay as far to the right as possible to avoid Deathclaws. Then I took a stroll past Black Mountain for a bit of easy experience, because you get about 9 XP for every location you discover. I got lucky and was able to take down a super mutant for a nice chunk of XP. After killing a gecko, I leveled up, dumped the points into unarmed, and thought I'd exterminate a few powder gangers. They had other ideas. With several broken bones and a sliver of health left, I retreated to a nearby house to sleep. Then, a new idea. Boone. With Boone by my side, enemies would be dead before I even knew they were there. On my way to Novak, I figured I'd pick up some NCR armor, so I could sneak into the Strip via Camp McCarran. Suddenly, I remembered that I couldn't equip NCR armor even if I wanted to, because I didn't have a Pip-Boy. Then, some fiends killed me. Back from the grave once more, I killed a maintenance robot, and decided Novak was too far away. I settled for Veronica. Any companion is better than none, and I'd need 2,000 caps to enter the Strip. She would be a perfect mule. After murdering several followers of the apocalypse, I leveled up, sold what I could to the gun runners, and made my way inside the Strip. From there, I thought it a good idea to try and take on the chairman without being at max health. I died. Then I tried again, this time leading them on a wild chase throughout the tops, all the while being crippled and near death. I took a step onto a table, ready to leap from the balcony onto Benny, killing us both in a beautiful shit show. They put a stop to that real quick. Luckily, I had killed enough people to level up, so I retreated to the Lucky 38, slept in a bed to get a well-rested bonus, and returned to slaughter everyone inside the tops. With Benny finally dead, I could talk to Yes Man, remove Mr. House from the equation, and begin the long, boring task of dealing with the various factions in the game. The Omertas and White Glove Society were relatively simple. Innocent people had their lives ended. Let's leave it at that. Next were the Boomers. Nothing too interesting happened there. Somewhere along the way I lost Veronica, which was unfortunate. Despite her old age, Pearl put up more of a fight than I would have expected. Think of it as tearing through 2 pieces of paper instead of just a single sheet. My next stop was across the map at Red Rock Canyon. Along the way, I discovered the true meaning of friendship, as several fiends beat the shit out of me and cut my leg off as I died. I avoided them after respawning and arrived at Red Rock. A hell of a brawl took place inside a Great Khan tent. In the end, I stood alone, barely. Once again, I had several broken bones, and then I found out all I had to do was talk to Regis, and I'd be able to ignore the Great Khans. Future me was grateful, but past me is angry with current me for not learning this earlier. The Brotherhood of Steel were all that stood between me and finishing the quest. Veronica was still nowhere to be found. Without a Pip-Boy to check the map, I assumed and hoped that she was gone forever. With Veronica gone, I figured my best chance was to punch a Brotherhood Paladin in the face and run away as fast as I can. But, they locked the doors. As you can probably imagine, 3 paladins in power armor with Gauss rifles can make quick work of a mustachioed man like myself. To make a short story even shorter, I got lucky and hid behind a crate. They took me inside, stripped me naked, and put a collar on me. I smashed a radio, the first time I ever completed that quest that way, and was free to ignore the Brotherhood for the rest of eternity. It was smart to do the Brotherhood last. You see, they strip you of your armor before they put the collar on you, and without a Pip-Boy, you can't re-equip that armor. So I'm completely armorless for the rest of the game. On the upside, Veronica was waiting at the Lucky 38's presidential suite, so at least I had my mule back. On my previous adventures, I'd leveled up a few times, and with my unarmed skill at 100, the NCR at the El Dorado substation were easy, like stealing candy from a baby and their parents by utilizing threats of extreme violence towards them all if they don't do exactly as you say. But I needed my speech skill to be at 100, so Veronica and I killed every last person inside the old Mormon fort. At long last, it was time to head to Hoover Dam. I avoided as many legionaries as I could and installed Yes Man inside the Hoover Dam offices. The NCR soldiers were more than a match for me, so I sprinted into them, knocked them down, and beat them to death while they couldn't fight back, hitting people who can't fight back. That's the true Mitten Squad way. Then I activated the generators, avoided a lot more enemies, had a little chat with the legate, had General Oliver thrown off the dam, and beat Fallout New Vegas without a Pipboy. So, you're probably asking yourself, is this run worth trying? Yes and no. I found the inability to heal while in combat, or from sources other than a bed or a toilet, to be more annoying than anything else. Even in hardcore, you can still heal, just at a slower rate. No armor or weapons, other than fists, adds an interesting challenge to the game. But I think a better and more fun challenge would be limiting yourself to 2 or 3 weapons and a single set of armor, or just drastically reducing your carry weight. Because I've put so many hours into New Vegas, the inability to use a map wasn't all that inconvenient. I've ran through these quests so many times that I could do it in my sleep. It was the inability to fast travel that really got annoying though. I've done this so many times by now, I'm just gonna ask the question, can you beat Fallout New Vegas without taking any damage? Before special and skills, there's the name. It needs to be perfect to accurately represent what I am as a person and what defines me as a man. So I chose chocolate with nuts, after the fish in SpongeBob that was born with glass bones and paper skin. He is my spirit animal, after all. I'm doing things differently this time around. Strength and endurance are worthless, as is charisma. Intelligence, perception, and agility are maxed out. The skills I chose were guns, lockpick, and sneak. Always relying on speech gets boring, so I'm not putting any points into it. I did the same thing for my run in Fallout 3 as I did in this one. I used console commands to set my max health to 1 so that any damage at all kills me and reloads my most recent save. I also started utilizing quick saves and quick loads, which you may notice throughout this video. My hunt for the man in the checkered suit is on. After a few weapon mods caught my eye in the general store, I spoke to Sunny Smiles to get my hands on a varmint rifle. Then I killed her and her stupid dog, and with it, bought a silencer and extended mags mods from Chet before ending his life as well. The townsfolk in Good Springs were very nice to me. To reward them for their generosity, I killed them all and let the Powder Gangers take control. Then I killed the Powder Gangers too. My next stop was Prim, for no reason other than Johnson Nash being the next closest vendor after Chet's tragic accident. I found myself inside the Bison Steve Hotel. The Powder Gangsters inside provided me with my first real challenge. It's kinda like Call of Duty, where he who sees first kills first. Their guns are drawn and they're facing me, giving them a step up in the fight. After several deaths, I was able to walk in and instantly aim at the bad guy's head, allowing me to kill him and hide behind a wall. Several deaths later, I was on the second floor, where I had even more fun dying over and over again. Good thing I'm persistent. The gangsters were cleared out, Beagle was rescued, and Prim was in need of a new sheriff. NCR were my first suggestion, but with my speech skill laughably low, I had to drag myself to the Mojave outpost to get approval from someone higher up in the ranks. Then something strange happened. After I killed Ranger Ghost so I could steal her clothes, one of the dialogue options with Major Knight was to tell him that I'd helped out around the outpost. Maybe Ranger Ghost was like a total bitch or something. Regardless, I brought the law back to Prim, and my work there was done. Next was Nipton. Boxcars, the last standing member of the Powder Gremlins, was granted the sweet release of death he'd wanted for so long. Volpest and Colta also needed to die. Something deep within me said it must be. So that's what happened. Using my sneak skill and silenced varmint rifle, I eliminated Volpest and his group of Legion soldiers. I found myself full of items that I didn't want to drop. Novak seemed like the perfect place to sell them. I took the road southeast of Mitten and killed a whole family of bighorners along the way for some quick and easy experience. And then I got carried away and found myself in a bit of a sticky situation involving a lot of very dangerous ghouls. It took a considerable amount of time and ammo, but I was able to kill enough of them to accomplish my goal. I really wanted to know what the hell was in that shack. The hunting shotgun inside was nice, but the real reward was discovering what happened when I took too much radiation damage. Once it crosses over into the first radiation sickness category, you take damage, which kills me. Or I tripped over a rock while I was standing still. It could honestly be either. Fresh out of that irradiated hellhole, I encountered a few traveling merchants to whom I could sell some of my wares. That voice in the back of my head came back, and I was determined to kill them all in the most beautiful of fashions. Picking them off at a distance would just not do. I put myself between all four of them, targeted their skulls and vats, and fired away. It took well over a dozen attempts, but man, when I got it, it was so worth it. With that out of the way, I freed some powder grapes from the Legion, killed a Legion scouting party, killed some NCR soldiers too, and arrived at Novak. Needing a mule, I sent Jeannie Mae to her death in the middle of the night, and took Boone as my companion. By this point, I had decided that, like Vulpes before him, Caesar must die. With Boone by my side, this would be a slice of pie. As I neared Cottonwood Cove, I noticed that the colors were becoming washed out. I couldn't remember if it normally happened in this area or what, but that wasn't going to stop me. What was going to stop me was an unfortunate series of quick saves and Boone being unconscious. I was outnumbered, outgunned, and my life was taken from me numerous times before I managed to run behind a nearby building. I then retreated one final time to a pretty attractive rock, from which I killed the last of the Legion at Cottonwood Cove. Next stop, Caesar. Next stop, Caesar. What the fuck? Next stop, Caesar. Okay, so I can't take the boat to the fort. I don't know why. I guess it's just something that happens sometimes. Well, if I can't kill Caesar right now, I'll just go kill some other group of people. Haven't been to Boulder City in a few playthroughs, let's go there. Cons are a bit tougher than your run-of-the-mill powder garbanzos. Luckily, I had a few hollow points, which do extra damage against people who are hollow inside, hence the name. I killed Jessup, became accepted by the NCR, leveled up, and moved on. By the way, some time ago I was storing all my items in Boone, and he equipped the Legion Recruit helmet. Normally, companions can't wear faction armor, but he is. I don't know, I just thought I'd mention it looks cool. I stopped by the gun runners to sell what I'd picked up on my travels thus far, and then I saw it. The M1911, the greatest handgun of all time. What's better was that the robo-vendor even had two mods available. The first added a sweet chrome finish to it, and the second added a silencer. The first humans to fall victim to my new weapon were two Freeside thugs. It was less effective than I would have thought. As I made my way to the strip, a new idea came over me. What if I took care of everything I possibly could before confronting Mr. House or Yes Man? So I turned around, slipped off a rock in Goodspring Cemetery, and proceeded towards Hidden Valley. I killed a lot of bark scorpions and centaurs before entering the hidden bunker. A powerful sniper rifle allowed me to take out the paladins who greeted me, ensuring I'd never have to deal with the Brotherhood of Steel again. Back at Goodspring Cemetery, I prepared to cautiously cross Cazador Canyon. Rather than taking the normal path to Red Rock, I took a back entrance, which was crawling with Cazadors. Ooh, what fun. Not really. Right before I got brutally face-fucked by a giant mantis, Victor showed up and saved the day. Actually, he distracted me while Boone handled the manti. His wife is dead, he doesn't feel anything anymore, he won't mind. Inside Red Rock, I introduced myself to Regis to ensure that things proceeded properly. Then I entered their sacred house and vatsed almost everyone inside. Not gonna lie, it looked pretty sweet. Next came Nellis. I smashed Pearl with an axe, gave Boone some new armor, accidentally blew myself up with a grenade launcher, and tried once more to travel to the fort. It did not work. This time, rather than taking out my frustration on the great cons, I took it out on oh so many innocent people. Everyone inside the Tops and Ultra Lux died, and I do mean everyone. Gamora was a bit more challenging because they actually fought back. I hate it when they fight back. Before I could head into the Lucky 38, there was one more thing I had to take care of: the NCR embassy on the Strip. Boone was less than impressed with my slaughtering of his former brothers in arms. You know what that means. When I exited the embassy, several people cowered before me. It's almost over. I let Mr. House do his little demonstration before ending his life and letting Yes Man take over. I did the thing at the substation and was transported to Hoover Dam. The push to Hoover Dam was not easy. The lone Securitron friend I had died right before my eyes. My strategy consisted of a lot of peeking up from behind cover and firing randomly until I got a headshot or died. The double-barrel shotgun I bought earlier made the Hoover Dam offices a bit easier than the outside. The last fight had arrived. Just me and the Legate, and the two shits accompanying him. Must have been take your shit to work day. I pumped myself full of every chem I had, destroyed the Legate, killed his shits, and my head is crippled. The fuck? I have 8 health? Oh god damn it. I gained health when I took every chem known to man. It was tougher to kill the Legate without my happy drugs, but I did do it. I took the Legate's head off and put it where it belongs, in the drink. All that's left is to talk to Oliver, and the game is over. Here's the thing. When Oliver arrives, your weapon is automatically holstered. Without speech or barter, there's no way to talk him down, so you have to fight him. But it is impossible to get any further than this without taking any damage. There was not enough time to do anything. By the time you pull your gun out to fire, he's already killed you. You're not close enough to any cover to sprint out of the line of fire. In my attempt to do something different, I may have fucked myself. You cannot beat Fallout New Vegas without taking any damage. You know what? I refuse to accept that. Let's look at the situation we've got ourselves in, alright? If we side with Mr. House or Yes Man, this same event transpires. Oliver arrives, and we're back where we are now. Our options are to side with the NCR or side with the Legion. Seeing as I've already wiped out the Legion at Cottonwood Cove, it only makes sense to side with the Legion, which means it's time to reload an old save. Not being able to go to the fort early on paid off after all. I reloaded right after I wiped out everyone at Cottonwood Cove. Benny died again, as did Mr. House. Caesar complimented me and gave me my first order: destroy whatever the hell is in the bunker beneath the fort. With that same sniper I mentioned earlier, and some armor-piercing rounds, the robots down there were not much of a challenge. The radiation was a concern, though the Rad-X and Radaway I had were enough to keep me from dying. I hadn't done a good enough job earlier when I visited Nellis, so I went back there and killed everyone else who foolishly thought they had escaped my wrath. I knew what was coming up. King Salad would ask me to destroy the Brotherhood of Steel, so that's what I did. The turrets in the bunker were the hardest part. They fire fast and can take a lot of damage. The Paladins and others could be killed with a single shot from a Gauss rifle. And with that, the Brotherhood of Steel, Mojave chapter, are no more. I returned to Caesar, bathed in the sweet glow of his praise, and was given my next assignment. The white gloves are friend, not foe, he says. But I don't like cannibals. The only thing worse than a cannibal is a slug. So I took extra good care in making sure that every last motherfucker inside the Ultralux was on the receiving end of one of my bullets. Boone did not approve, so I had him sit in the naughty corner. With the Brotherhood destroyed, King Shit Caesar had headaches. Oh, poor Caesar. Oh, owie, my head hurts. Fucking bitch. So I saved his life, no big deal. All that stood between me and the last quest of the game was assassinating President Kimball. The hard part wasn't the assassination itself, it was getting into position without being made by the NCR Rangers. Once I did, it was relatively trivial to put a giant hole where Kimball's heart used to be. Now, the end. For real this time. The Legate gave me my orders. They were written in crayon, I can't read shit. I could make out NCR bad, which I can only assume translates to take back Hoover Dam while killing as many of those NCR savages as you can. I found an L96A1 sniper rifle, which had better sights than the rifle I've been using, which made portions of the fight easier. Inside the offices, I swapped it out for an M14. That gun is phenomenal. The toughest of NCR foes could be taken out with 3 or 4 shots. I confronted Oliver. Again, without speech, the only option is to fight. He thought he was being a sneaky pheasant by laying down traps. I, the master strategist that I am, did not take the light step perk, which would make traps irrelevant. Instead, I sprinted towards them like a fucking madman and jumped over them all. I killed Oliver and his pals, spoke to the legate one final time, and beat Fallout New Vegas without taking any damage. What can I say about this run? To be honest, it was about what I expected it to be. A few spots were a little challenging, but by and large, it was nothing too crazy. For some reason, even though I preferred New Vegas over 3, I liked doing the no damage run in Fallout 3 more than this one. I just had more fun with it. Now, what would be challenging is doing a can you beat Fallout New Vegas without attacking anything and without taking any damage run. Would that even fit in the goddamn title? There's a part of the Fallout games that you never really think about. Looting. You look through any container or corpse you come across in an effort to find items, equipment, and caps. But what if you couldn't loot anything? Can you beat Fallout New Vegas without looting anything? First, let's talk about what looting actually is. If you add an item to your inventory, it's looting. Picking a gun up off the floor is looting. Picking the lock on a safe and taking its contents is looting. If you yourself add an item to your inventory, it's looting. This is where things may get controversial. Without looting, there are 2 ways to get items: buying them, or an NPC giving them to you. For example, Sunny Smiles gives you a varmint rifle at the beginning of the game. That isn't looting. Great, we've got our definitions. Did you pay attention? There's gonna be a quiz later. Now onto the game itself. I have the Ultimate Edition of Fallout New Vegas, so some items are added to my inventory whether I want them to be or not. These items are, effectively, all I'll have to work with throughout the entire playthrough. I say effectively because you know what, I'll tell you later. I decided to be a boring little Nancy boy and pick Speech, Barter, and Survival as my tag skills. Speech to be boring, Barter so that I could get as much ammo and as many stim packs as possible from the few caps I'll have, and Survival to have as many hit points as possible. For traits, I chose Skilled and Good Natured. Skilled gives you 5 points in each skill, but decreases experience earned by 10%, which can be countered with the Swift Learner perk when you level up the first time. Good-natured increases non-combat skills by 5 points, while decreasing combat skills by 5 points. So before I even leave Doc Mitchell's house, my speech skill is up to 50. Here's what I've got to work with. A few sets of armor, most light with 1 medium. For healing items, I've got 5 bleak venom, 3 doctor's bags, 9 stim packs, 3 super stim packs, and 4 weapon repair kits. And for weapons, after talking to Sunny Smiles, I have a 9mm pistol, binoculars, a broad machete, a mercenary's grenade rifle, a sturdy caravan shotgun, 10 throwing spears, and a weathered 10mm pistol. This is pretty much all I've got to work with. My first goal was to level up to get that 10% experience boost I mentioned earlier. I fixed Trudy's radio, talked to Ringo, gathered support for the upcoming war against the powder garbage disposals, and let the firefight begin. I used the grenade launcher to kill as many of them as I could, and then a shotgun to pick off the rest. I leveled up, raised lockpicking up to 25, and began heading north. You might be wondering why I'd invest in lockpicking. I can't take anything from the containers I crack open, but I can get the experience from it, which is pretty useful. At 10 XP a pop, the bark scorpions surrounding Hidden Valley turned out to be a nice little treat, as did the nearby centaurs, though they were a bit harder to take down. Harder still were the super mutants and Nightkin atop Black Mountain. I died many times trying to take them out. Eventually, I was able to free Raoul, much to Tabitha's dismay. Together, we killed Tabitha, I leveled up again, and things were looking decent. As I headed towards the strip, I got myself into quite a pickle thanks to some horribly timed quick saves, 3 death claws to my back, and nowhere to go. I tried to outrun them. It didn't work. I reloaded an older save, and took a safer route to the strip. I took a quick stop inside RepCon headquarters for some reason. Not sure why, I didn't even do anything in there. Soon after discovering Camp McCarran, I went next door and killed all the freeloaders in the El Rey Motel. Next, I was off to a fiend-infested vault. I charmed my way inside, threw a spear at Motor Runner's skull, killed as many fiends as I could, as well as their prisoners, and left. My desire for blood had not yet been satisfied, so I entered some building, killed Duke, and leveled up yet again. By this point, I was up to level 8. I didn't have enough caps to enter the strip, and I couldn't disguise myself as an NCR soldier because I couldn't take any armor off any corpse, so I used 2 more spears to take out the soldiers guarding the monorail. Here's where some strategy comes into play. I need the platinum chip, but I can't take it from Benny, which means I can't kill him. The only way to get it is to make him flee to the fort. That also means I'll have to survive the ambush in his hotel room, being completely unarmed against guys with guns. Luckily, I had put some points into luck, so I was able to land a few critical hits and take out Benny's goons. Yes Man was only an elevator trip away, so I stopped by and said hello. I also picked a bunch of locked doors, which granted me a cool 48 XP each. Cottonwood Cove was where I was headed next. Nothing particularly interesting happened on the way out there. I broke my legs a few times, macheted the absolute shit out of a dog, and traveled to the fort. There were a couple different ways I could handle this situation. Caesar gave me the platinum chip. I could have installed the upgrades for Mr. House. I could have just left and done nothing. I could have had Benny crucified. I chose option Q, the one where I free Benny and run like hell past all the people who wanted to kill me. With some Mirror's Edge level bobbing and weaving through some tents, I was able to travel back to Cottonwood Cove, sink into the river like a rock, and float away to safety. There was just one small problem. I forgot Raoul. I told him to wait outside Caesar's tent, and I just sorta ignored him, what with all this screaming and everything. Unfortunate, to be sure, but I'm not going back for him, nor am I reloading an old save. What's done is done, and what is done may never be undone. My next objective was Red Rock Canyon. Rather than doing something incredibly theatric or obscenely stupid, I arrived, made a mental note that they exist, and left. Not gonna bother killing all of them this time. Thankfully, I had discovered Hidden Valley earlier, which made contacting the Brotherhood much easier. They locked the door behind me, which made an assault a fruitless endeavor. So I did as the Elder commanded, and handled the NCR Ranger. And guess what? Your belongings are not automatically given back. They're put in a chest that you must open. Every single item I had was now lost forever. My weapons, my armor, my ammo, my poison, even my caps were all gone. I thought this might happen, which is why I had a backup plan. I made a stop by the Silver Rush. Simon took all my nothing and put it into a chest before I entered the building. He gave me a sweet suit of combat armor and a plasma rifle. I ditched that loser and went back to the Lucky 38 to remove Mr. House from the equation, but not before using my barter skill to negotiate my way up to 1,250 caps for turning over the platinum chip. With caps in my pocket and a gun in my hands, I slaughtered that cannibal fuck Mortimer. That was a lie. I gave his bottom a good wallop before running away. I did the same thing to a guy in Gomorrah, just with fewer interactions with his bottom. I wasn't about to waste time leveling up my energy weapon skill, so I went to the gunrunners to sell all the 2 things I had to my name. The Van Graff combat armor was worth a stupid 5,000 caps. With my newfound fortune, I got myself a mint-conditioned gunrunner's battle rifle, an assortment of normal, hollow point, and armor-piercing rounds, a combat helmet, and a worn but still usable suit of recon armor. I also stopped by the New Vegas Medical Clinic to heal my radiation and get infused stim packs. All that's left to do is meet the boomers, and then we can proceed to the end game. I blindly clicked speech options when talking to George on the road leading to Nellis. He started running forward and ended up getting blown up. My battle rifle turned out to be pretty effective against the frail old witch named Pearl, also against Raquel and other guy. That boring nonsense was over. Yes Man installed himself into the Lucky 38 mainframe. I ignored President Kimball's assassination plot again, and went to the El Dorado gas station to revert some power. The battle for... whatever. You know what's going on. The gosh darned Centurions went and crippled my head. Bunch of Melvins is what they are. I spent about 80 years drinking from a dirty sink in the Hoover Dam offices. Guess what? They don't heal you. Or me. They don't heal me. Maybe it's a glitch, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm not pissed off about it. One of those is a lie. After taking out those armored NCR soldiers with 2 quick shots to the dome, I installed Yes Man and began the search for a bed. I even went so far as to go all the way back to the entrance of Olive's compound, only to discover that there was a room full of beds just down the hall. Me brain fixed good, no hurt more. The Securitrons made the push towards the Legate's camp relatively easy. If I said that before, I probably have. Maybe that guy was right. Maybe I am a speaking spell. Anyway, I used my maxed out speech skill to talk the Legate down from his figurative ledge, explained how poorly things would go for Oliver if he didn't heed my warning, and beat Fallout New Vegas without looting anything. So, what have we learned today, my children? Nothing. I've wasted your time with yet another one of my videos.